Okay, I'm here in Mexico, Tulum, Mexico. See, it's a much nicer city than I just gave you the impression of, because it's just a gas station. So this is an off. This is not a usual video recording. Usually I do this every Friday, but I wanted to do one because I did the Temazcal ceremony this morning, which is the sweat lodge. I'm not wet looking because of that. I just took a shower and I went to lavar mi ropa, but there's no water at the laundromat right now, so I have no clothes. I have no clean shirts. But okay, so I want to do video because I thought that the ceremony was some kind of a therapeutic thing. It's a little weird because people are walking by me on the street as I'm making this video. But alright, so Temazcal ceremony, part of the idea is like, I was kind of looking at it like an ayahuasca type thing, hallucinogenic trip, that type of thing, but without drugs. Actually, my doctor had recommended when I mentioned, because I haven't smoked weed, and I mentioned, I don't really have an urge to occasionally, but I do think about doing like hallucinogenic, some kind of a sacred plant kind of journey, and she recommended a sweat lodge, and that was like months ago. And I kind of looked it up in New England, but it seemed like I wasn't allowed to do it because I'm not a Native American, that they wouldn't let me in. So now, when I was down here in Tulum, which is kind of a place for spiritual retreats and things like that, there were signs for Temazcal, and then several series of events. This weekend I was planning on like going on a bus to Chichen Itza, which is like a Mayan archaeological site with pyramids. It's like one of the 7 wonders of the world. And I had this whole thing planned out to try to do all this stuff because I'm leaving Wednesday. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to... I'm like chasing something, I was at 2 Mayan archaeological sites while I've been here. It's like I'm chasing something on the outside. So I said, maybe I need to find something on the inside. So I stayed in town, and I don't know what the hell I did yesterday. I went to Akalam on Friday and swam with some turtles, giant sea turtles. And then I don't know what I did yesterday. I forget. It must not be that important. But I did line up the... I went for a massage on the beach yesterday. And then, Temazcal this morning. So it was a morning ceremony. It all the stars aligned. I tried to schedule this thing a few times and it didn't seem to work out. But fortunately today it did. I guess I could describe the ceremony. We got there at like 9. We were supposed to bring fruit to share. And we helped to start the fire. There was maybe 8 of us total, 4 of us that I knew from the hostel, and then 4 other people. There was a shaman, a woman, and then another guy. I kind of recommend doing it with a woman. There's something a little bit more motherly, and I've been told that the kind of female energy is a little more forgiving and kind, and not like looking at it like this needs to be this tough challenge to like prove your manhood. It's really about going on a journey to your level of tolerance. So we helped to start the fire, they heat up the stones, and then we helped to put all the blankets on they have like a wooden frame for the Temazcal ceremony for the hut that you're going to go in, and then we put the blankets on that. And then they kind of cleanse the area with some incense or herbs, and then they cleanse you and you go in one by one. And I was worried about passing out, and I heard this thing would go on for hours. I actually have no idea how long we were in there, but we did one puerta, so they close the door, you go in, they bring in the stones, there's maybe a little bit of music, she kind of coaches you on breathing. Teeny bit feels like a yoga class almost, or a meditation class. You get to do some music. I played the drum a little bit. I was like jonesing, like it's kind of like this voluntary thing, like you. they had asked our intentions, right? So we had to come up with our intention privately, and then once we were inside, we actually had to say our intention. It's kind of bullshit because everyone's able to say theirs in Spanish. And so, like, they all understood each other, but for me, I didn't know what anyone was saying. I mean, I know some Spanish. I can speak it. We'll get into that. I know Spanish, but I couldn't really fully understand what everyone was saying. And then I had to say mine, and I wanted to do it in Spanish out of respect to the process, but I was like, listen, I'm going to do it in English because that way I can use precise words. And much like I was part of a winter solstice ceremony at Christmas time, and part of that is you leave behind something in the previous year. So I was trying to leave behind self-doubt, the fear of other people thinking I'm crazy, and the fear that I might actually be crazy. So this time I said the same things, but I added in the wanting trust, to add trust to the universe and other people, but mainly that like everything will work out. And it was cool because when we were getting ready to go in, I was nervous, and I was like, okay, like let me get a check from my resources, which meant my buddy Mikey, his spirit, and my grandmother. Mikey's usually represented by the wind, because I chose that because I thought it'd be funny for him to be represented by the wind because of farts. Farts are like wind. My grandmother is birds for a variety of reasons I don't need to get into. And so she kept talking about the wind and wind being part of our breath and the wind taking the smoke and everything. So it's like, all right, check. Mikey's with me. He's got my back. And then I was like, where's the fucking bird? I was like, this is a little bit weird. This is the first time I've been out here that I haven't heard birds chirping. Like, where's the fucking bird? And then all of a sudden I looked, and the drum had a giant bird on it. And it was just like smack dab in the middle of everything. And I had seen the drum and the bird. And it was kind of weird because it was sideways, so it was pointing up, and I had noted it and made a remark to myself like, oh, I wonder if the shaman knows the bird's crooked. But I forgot about it until that moment when I was trying to find a bird, and then it was just sitting there right in front of me. So, you know, these things could be meaningless to some people, or they could be meaningful. It's a lot more fun if you make meaning out of it. You get to choose. So we do the thing. We had to say our intention. I said mine. You can kind of pick your position. I was worried because I can't sit cross-legged without my legs falling asleep. But you can I ended up like kind of in a child's pose thing, and then a fetal position, and then I laid down. So fortunately there was space in there. I guess sometimes when they do it there's no space, but in this case there was space. So we did it, and it got hot and hot and hot. They had water, there's some chanting, singing. They asked for volunteers to do a song. I really was jonesing to sing the song Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. I was having some flashbacks to this time in New Hampshire when I sang it at a bar. It was a really weird time, and I was realizing like I could sing it in Spanish. I knew how to translate the words to Spanish. Not that I magically was learning Spanish because of this thing, but I was able to use the Spanish that I already knew to do something that I didn't realize I could do. So it wasn't like magically I was speaking a foreign language. It was realizing what I could do with that language. So we went through the first door, as they call it. She opens the door, you get a little bit of air, they bring in new stones. I don't know how long we were in there for a while. Hour at the most, I think. I don't really know. There's no light, it's hard to tell time. And then they did the next one, and I was worried about having to pee, because I pee a lot, frequently. So I didn't want to hold it. So then this one was hotter, sweatier, it was getting intense, hotter, had to pee. I was trying, should I, part of it was it's okay to leave, you don't need to be a hero, you don't need to prove anything, you don't need to, but I was I want to stay in this thing, and that was kind of the theme of this, was being able to let go of the need to do it all, the need to be perfect, the need to save the world. Finally, she opened the door and I kept saying, why don't I just go out? And I was like, no, wait till they're going to open the door again at least, and then go out and use the bathroom. Or be tough and just don't use the fucking bathroom. And I even thought about, should I ask permission to pee in the stones? Should I ask permission to pee on myself? It's that kind of thing, it's a ceremony, spiritual shit. Maybe I could just ask permission to piss myself and people will be cool with it. It seemed like that kind of situation, but I didn't. And then when she opened the door for that second round, I I was like, necesito usar los servicios, por favor. She's like, 1 minute. I was like, no, I need it now. And so she hadn't helped me. I crawled out, and she's like, stay on your knees, just lay there, take your time, don't just get up. So I stayed there, and that was it for me. I'm not 100% certain. It seemed like that was actually going to be the end of the ceremony, so I so-called like bailed, but that was actually going to be the end. But I was going to get out last. I thought they were going to do a third session, but it was just 2. So I thought that I hadn't done it. And that was the whole thing of like, do I need to do this? Why am I doing it? Like, do I need to prove that I can make it through? Or should I prove to myself that I have the ability to back off if I don't want to do something? Because that in itself is a skill. It's one thing to just do everything for the sake of doing it, push yourself. But to be able to say no, to be able to say, you know what, I've had enough, to be able to say, you know what, this is my level. It's not a competition. It's just, whatever you're going to get out of it, it's your process and your journey. So I got out, and I was laying there, and then I was like thinking all these things. I was like, do I go back in? I'm like, I'm content. Like, that's what I got out of this was, I don't need to save the world. Like, I don't need to do it all. I get to choose how much I do with this. Do I go back in? Because I think I just, it's like if they do a third door, like, I'll go back in, I think. And I was like, why? What's the point? For what? Just to prove that I can? And I remember at one point when I was in there, my crazy thing, what I kept thinking of was, no soy loco por amor. Which is like, I'm not crazy for love. Like, if all the things that I'm doing that I think are crazy are really through some sort of desire, love for the world, then I'm not crazy, because maybe I'm an idealist, maybe I'm not practical, but not crazy. Like, you can't call me crazy if I say I'm doing things out of love. So that was like my big, and then I said the world is crazy without love. So that was kind of like my resolution, and just kept like fucking ringing in my head. And everything kept going in Spanish. Like, I was just constantly thinking in Spanish and realizing, like, that I actually can form some meaningful thought with Spanish. No soy loco por amor. Todo el mundo es loco sin amor. Which is like, I am not crazy for love, and the world is crazy without love. I just kept thinking Spanish. And like, I almost did this whole video in Spanish. And there was some kind of like rebirthing, and I was just laying there so happy, and I was like, I'm content. And I was like, I don't need to go back in. And then I thought, wait a minute, what if the people in there need me? What if by not being a part of the group, I'm hurting the group? So like, should I go back in the hut because, I want to help the other people? And then I was like, okay, like maybe they need my help. Maybe I should tough it up and go back in. And I was like, if I can help people, maybe I should help them. If you can help, you should help. You don't have to, but if you can, you should. And then I thought, well, who says they need my help? Do I know they need my help? Do I need to go sacrifice myself in there because I think that I'm helping the group? Like, maybe it's better without me because they have a little extra room. Or maybe they need me for the moral support. And I was just thinking, and I was like, no matter what, everything's going to be all right. The universe is a good place. But I'm always burdened with this thing of trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to save the world? Am I supposed to do it all? And it's kind of this thing like, if you can help, help. Don't sacrifice yourself necessarily. If you can help, help. But, that was kind of this resolution that the ceremony brought to me. And there was something like very spiritual about it, the process. It felt like you're kind of being born again as you come out of this hut through a little hole, and you're laying there like, just fucking laying there. And then I finally kind of came to, and the shaman like pours water on you and stuff when you're in there, and they spray water on you. And then like people came over and started putting fruit in my mouth, because like that's the idea afterwards, you share fruit. So I'm like laying there and covered in dirt and stuff, and like come up and like put fruit in my mouth. Like, I don't know, it was like a cool way to be born in a way, right? And then we went to the beach, spent all day like laying on the beach basically, not really saying shit, just enjoying the waves. Still kind of recovering from it. I got a headache. Had a fucking painful shit I took. I think I'm dehydrated. Just gonna go do laundry, trying to get everything done because it's Sunday night, and I was like not wanting to do that tomorrow, but there's no water at the laundromat. And I feel like I should share more about Temescal, but I mean, I think I got out of it that you're not crazy if the things you're doing are for love and loving the world and wanting, you know, like, so like as far as me worrying I'm crazy, I think I'm all right there. That helped. As far as like trying to decide how much effort do I have to put into saving the world, does the world need my saving and all that? Like, I think it helped. Um, there's a certain trust, you know, being able to set my own limits instead of doing someone else's limits. Like that's cool. So yeah, so it was helpful. I don't know if it was like the most revolutionary thing I've ever done, but that's kind of the idea of like, what am I expecting to get out of it? What do I want to get out of it? What's my intention? I set a specific intention. Leave behind self-doubt. Leave behind the fear that I'm crazy. Leave behind the fear that others think I'm crazy. So I think I got a lot of that. Not like in its entirety, not to perfection, but I got a lot of it. And I also got a dose of being able to set my own limits and choose where the limit is for me, how much I want to sacrifice, how much I want to contribute. All right, this is 16 minutes, so this is like, I guess, a bonus. I don't know. Cool. Peace.